With the Outer Worlds 2 finally out, I had a crazy idea for my first playthrough. What if I tried to beat the game on very hard difficulty, but as a pacifist general directing my troops from the sideline? Could I beat the entire game from the first mission to the final boss just by standing there and letting my companions do all the fighting? Let's find out. The rules for this challenge were simple. Rule 1, I can only shoot non-living targets like traps and healing stations. Rule 2, my companions are my personal army and do all the work. Rule 3, we have to beat the whole game from the tutorial to the end credits. Since my companions were doing all the fighting, I built my character to be the ultimate support system, like a caddy for a pro golfer, but with more motivational speeches. I picked traits and skills that helped with dialogue and made my companions stronger. I named my character Captain Ken and cranked the difficulty up to very hard. The game starts with you as an agent sent to the Arcadia system to deal with strange rifts tearing the colony apart like a piece of paper. Your first mission is to contact a woman named Augustine. Early on, the team splits up and I chose the stealth route, which was less about being a ninja and more about awkwardly sneaking past guards while they looked the other way. When I met back up with the team, an explosion knocked my partner Niles unconscious, leaving me on my own again. When I finally met Augustine, she betrayed me in a twist I should have seen coming. I managed to escape in a pod. After waking up, I landed on Paradise Island where Niles and Valerie officially joined me. Niles is a gunslinger and Valerie is a medical robot. Our first fight was against some crab monsters, which quickly showed me that my team was about as effective as a screen door on a submarine. We needed to level up fast. To get stronger, I went to the town of Fairfield and agreed to help a man named Milver Street find a missing soldier. Before leaving, I found Augustine's secret computer terminal. What I discovered led me to her friend Savannah Lockwood, who asked me to go easy on Augustine. On my way to find the soldier, I came across a character named Gary, who got eaten by a rift. When I reached the location, some lizard-like creatures called raptidons were guarding the area like junkyard dogs. The missing soldier was a modified super soldier named Inez. I told her she was being called back to base. After that, I explored a bit and stupidly gave a grenade to another soldier, which ended exactly as you'd expect. I returned to Milver Street and convinced Inez she should quit the soldier life. I sent Niles back to the ship to test something out. Inez told me she'd be a better fighter if we fixed her arm, so we went to find the doctor who originally worked on her. After leaving, I made a huge mistake and picked a flaw that gave me an extra perk point every 5 levels. Continuing to the town of Westport, I ran into more crab monsters. Luckily, I was able to stay out of their attack range. I met the leader of Westport, Hogarth, who didn't want to join the faction Auntie's Choice. I had to sabotage a few things to convince him. I told the good news to Milver Street, who said he couldn't help me get into the Vox relay and that I should ask Hogarth instead. Before heading to the relay station, I decided to get the upgrades for Inez. The fight against the crab was easy, but the massive Raptidon matriarch with tons of smaller enemies which dragged the fight. It was chaos. Luckily, I managed to lure her out of the room to defeat her. After that, I upgraded Inez with a crab arm for more damage. At the Vox relay station, I used Hogarth's connections to sneak in. The person in charge was Corbin, a guy I had lied to earlier. He agreed to help anyway. In my rush, I forgot to collect some data we needed, a mistake that ultimately cost him his life. The boss of the area was Brigadier Montelli. The fight was simple. I just ran to the back of the room and hid while my companions chipped away at his health. The floor became electrified periodically, turning the battle into a deadly game of hide and seek. After accessing a private terminal, I triggered a failsafe from Augustine. Thankfully, I had already cleared the town, so they were saved from the resulting crash. A courier from a group called The Order met me at my ship with a message from their leader, Presiding Bishop Bassar, requesting a meeting. Niles also finally gave me his companion quest. We were sent to find some missing people and got revenge by blowing up the ship that captured them. Landing on the planet Dorado, I saw a bomb hit a camp. I was ambushed while trying to help refugees, but my companions handled it. I met with Abbot Joseph Newell, who sent me to investigate 2 locations, the N-Ray Range and the Zarana Manufactory. My first stop was the factory, which was on lockdown. I met a woman named Alva who said she was framed and asked me to investigate. With the evidence I found, we confronted a head person named Sonora, whom we took down. Her terminal revealed she was working for someone named Victor. On my way to the next objective, I found my next companion, Azza, a melee fighter who, on very hard, was about as useful as a chocolate teapot. The N-Ray range was annoying because I had to constantly point out enemies for my companions, making me a human targeting system. The boss, Victor, didn't stand a chance. I returned to the abbot, who told me a rogue faction had taken over the monastery. I made my way upstairs and watched my team clear them out like an exterminator. Halfway through, a character named Seer Landon gave me a choice to save hostages, which I did for the experience points. The room before the boss was tough because of snipers who targeted me specifically. In the end, I managed to talk Seer Landon down without a fight. It took me a while, but I realized I was still missing a companion, so I went to pick up Tristan. His quest was simple: clear out a camp of rogue robots. After he joined, it was back to the main story. I had to stop Augustine at Greater Tranquility Station. For some reason, I kept talking people down, so she was spared. After unlocking a new area, several companion quests opened up. The first was for a companion named Marisol who wanted me to find an old researcher. It was a simple mission involving an ambush, a trap-filled library, and burning some documents. Inez's quest started with a video message that led us to a test tube. We went to a lab to find answers, where we found the scientist behind the experiments and a very difficult boss. I let the scientist live and went back to get a new upgrade for Inez. We learned the soldier program was still active, so we went to Vice President Willard Connon, who agreed to help if we proved ourselves. We had to take out a base on live TV to show how powerful the soldiers were. He loved our performance, and Inez went from a forgotten prototype to the head of the entire super soldier program. The second mission for Niles was a heist on Winter Grasp, where we found out that the Monarch didn't create skip drives. It was found that the Earth Director was helping them hide it, but I ended up just spreading the news. Without the Earth Directorate's involvement, now it was back to the main story. We needed a device that let us open rifts to rewind time. The boss guarding it was relentless, like a freight train with a shotgun, and kept downing my companions. I got lucky because Niles managed to land a final attack right before he went down. The archive was next, and I wanted a peaceful ending, so I had to help both Auntie's Choice and the Order. For Auntie's Choice, our first mission was to end a workers' strike, which I solved with my speech skills. The second mission, we were sent to investigate a mental refreshment center and hopefully bring back the head scientist. As you can see, I failed. Auntie Cleo agreed to a meeting, so I was off to the Order. The Order's quests were easier. I took out a few cultists and got data from a satellite. Their leader, Ruth, agreed to meet with Auntie Cleo. The meeting went well. I ended up splitting custody of the archive, giving control of the data to the Order and the manufacturing to Auntie's Choice. I met with Auntie Cleo in person, who sent me to find her a robot body. We made our way into the archive. To get the lift working, I had to pickpocket a part from a character in a nearby cave. Once the lift was active, the soldiers from Auntie's Choice made quick work of the guards. I got a key from a sick guard, which gave me access to the archive, which was a supercomputer AI. The AI sent me on 2 missions, one to the thermal transfer systems and another to the archive reactor. The AI asked me to pick a personality for it, and I chose the one from the Order. I handed the controls over to Ruth, who told me it was time for the final battle. Tristan wanted to join, but he was useless, so I left him on the ship. The final area, Horizon Point, was overrun by reconstructed soldiers. I ran into Augustine, who was talking to a reconstructed version of Helen Pascal. The rift from the beginning of the game blocked our path, so I had to find a way to shut it down. I found the equation I needed in an office. After boarding a ship, I met with Auntie Cleo and Ruth, and they decided to hit these poses. And I was sent to find a way to shut down the rift and ran into a scientist who gave me a key card. I pickpocketed the chief scientist to get the information I needed. Ruth told me to say my goodbyes before the last battle. I couldn't talk Moy down because he wanted you to collect info like you were Batman with prep time, so I ended up fighting him, and for some reason his ads were harder than him, with him dying first. We were told we couldn't shut down the rift from my location and somebody had to fly into it. Augustine chose the volunteer, and I wasn't going to tell her no, and the game was over. So can you beat Outer Worlds 2 using only companions? Yes. Yes, you can. It's a painful and bizarre experience with the AI also being confused. Your biggest enemies aren't the monsters, they're your companions, strange AI, and getting stuck on doors.